His comment section is so funny. Most embarrassing patient interactions. Autopilot in the middle of the night asked a 90-plus-year-old lady when her last period was. She said sometime in the late 70s, baby. I don't remember. One time I was talking to a baby, I'm a peds nurse, and said, holy moly, how are you already so tan this early in the season? I'm so jealous. And then I turned around and the dad was black. Phlebotomist. I work overnights in the middle of rounds. It was like 3:30 a.m. I asked a patient if they had an arm preference. He said, well, if you can find my left one, that would be great. He was an amputee. Working as an intern at an eye clinic, I called Alvin to let him know his contacts were in. I said, hello, calling to let Alvin know his chipmunks, and then hung up in a panic. Had a deaf patient. I don't know why, but I started talking loud like she was going to hear me. She wrote out, still can't hear you on her whiteboard. I know how to sign too. Instead of saying, I'm your nurse Paige, I said, I'm your purse. I was washing a patient, asked if she had any family. She said she had a son who was dead. I then asked if she had a husband. The husband was in jail for murdering the son. Never again will I ask. When I worked at a vet's office, I walked into the room and said, all right, Artie, who's ready for some belly rubs? Artie was the owner. The dog's name was Buttercup. Instead of saying, I hope you feel better, get home safe while discharging a patient, I said, I hope you feel safe, and just walked away. I was training a nurse named Angel. Night shift, patient room light was off. Only light from the hallway. Nurse introduced herself and patient began screaming. She thought the angel of death had come to get her. A 500-pound man asked me to raise the head of his bed up for him, and I accidentally said, if I can. Was going over a patient's med list with them, and the patient saw my engagement ring and said, if you get divorced, you go to hell. I said, well, I'm marrying a woman, so... He was mortified. I once told a woman I loved her blush. It was rosacea. Asked my blind patient if he wanted the lights on or off. Said, honey, the lights have been off since 1990. I didn't know it was Ash Wednesday, and I walked up to a resident and said, oh, you have dirt on your face, and wiped it off. I was a pharmacy tech, and an older man came to the drive-thru with a dog, so I asked if his dog wanted a treat. He said, that's my grandson. I could only see the top of his head. Thought it was a dog. Took a patient to the hospice center, and just like usual, said, feel better soon, like I do with every patient. And he looked at me and said, yep, I guess being dead would feel better. I was on the phone with 98-year-old patient's family and said they should be going to the funeral home soon. Nursing home is what I meant. As a bit, I tell patients, I'll be right back, so don't run away on me. I said that to a patient who is a paraplegic. Patient with dementia. I asked her if she was married, and she said, I don't know, I think I was, but that should tell you how much it meant to me. I think about her often. I was transferring an amputee patient to our LTC unit and asked him where his other shoe was to pack it up. He laughed and said, girl, read the room, and took his blanket off his lap. They could make a TV show about y'all. Oh, wait.